Sharonda Williams Parawait. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm out of breath, but I'm still here.
I like it. I like it. Enthusiasm, adrenaline. Yes.
But like near asthma attack, it just all goes together.
Right. You let me know if you need a break, but I think we can do it.
I'm going to get through it because we got to talk WandaVision.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for making me feel seen, of making sense of my childhood. My parents used to look at me crazy, like, why do you watch I Love Lucy and Dick Van Dyke, I Dream of Jeannie? Why do you watch all of these shows when you're young? Like, what is the appeal? But you have finally made us Nick and Knight fans. Like, you've made us feel seen in the world. So I just wanted to thank you first and foremost for that.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. I mean, it's just because that's what I was doing. So.
But that's what I love about WandaVision. And you find so many sitcoms that you cover throughout the course of the show that we've seen so far. And it just like makes you realize why you grew up loving television. And I really wanted to ask you first, what are some shows that you grew up on that really just inspired you, just brings back the nostalgia about television sitcoms?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the shows that were on that were new when I was a kid were the 80s shows, like Growing Pains and Who's the Boss and, Family Ties, and like all that was sort of my zone that I was watching live, that I would show up and like get on the couch and like, I mean, my weeknights were booked. Like there was nothing else I was going to do other than like sit and watch those shows. But I watched so much in syndication, and I was like, things like I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched and that kind of thing, and just like, how like pretty all the ladies were, and like the outfits were so great, and it was, and also I was, and this is kind of a weird thing, but like as a young person, I was trying to figure out comedy. Like all I wanted to know is why people laughed, and sitcoms told you when to laugh. It was really helpful. It's like a cheat sheet. So I think a lot of it was my sort of like journey of figuring that out.
No, it was absolutely fantastic. I was just like, I remember all of these shows they're referencing. I just felt so important. But your first episode, you actually did, you wrote it to be performed in front of a live television audience. So was that your idea? Was it Kevin's idea? Really talk me through the process of how that came to be, because it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I mean, early on in the writer's room, it was our dream. Like we wanted to do all of them that way, but we sort of laughed about it because we didn't believe that Marvel, like we were like, how, like, are there enough NDAs in the world to make this actually possible? And then when Matt came on, like he was super on board with that and made it happen. And I think part of the like what convinced everyone was just the notion that we would get so much more out of the performances, because there's nothing like a live audience to right. Goose performance. And I mean, they're terrific no matter what, but there's just an energy that it's just palpable. And so it felt like we found a way to do it in a way that was like protected the show and protected Marvel, but gave us what we wanted in terms of that like special energy.
Now, one of the things that I do love about WandaVision is that we finally get to see a different side of Wanda and Vision than what we're used to in the actual Marvel films. And I really wanted to know, from a writing perspective, what was one ingredient that you really wanted to give to Wanda and Vision, something that we hadn't seen before in the Marvel films? What was the one thing that was just important for you to really show through these characters in the television series?
I mean, I think for Vision, I and for Paul, I wanted to see him be silly, like I'm so familiar with Paul's work and like and have been charmed by him for years, and I was like, I want to see Vision be goofy, and this was like the best scenario for that. And then for Wanda, she just doesn't get to smile that often. Like we don't get to see her enjoy and be warm and be relaxed, and that's I mean, Lizzie is just full of light, and that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see her, be able to like stand up straight and feel good and, have the sun on her face.
No, that definitely, especially episode 2 for Paul, was just absolutely fantastic acting wise. And honestly, just being able to see Wanda happy, I was just like, you guys have been so depressed in all of these movies. I just want you to be happy. What are we?
Well, it's not their fault. I mean, they're constantly like, there are things flying at them. Like, it's not that they're just like down in the dumps on their own. They got a lot going on.
No, they do. I just wanted to give them a hug. Like, let's just keep happy the first couple episodes.
Totally.
But there's been this whole, like, it was crazy after watching episode 4, which blew me away, had me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, amped to go back to sleep. All of these comments afterwards, like, finally something's happening. And so one of the things that I wanted to ask you, how hard is it really working from a pacing standpoint on two characters who a lot of movie fans watch? There's a difference between television and movies. Television, you take your time, okay? You don't just give everyone everything at once. And I really wanted to know, was that a challenge from you? Because you worked on both. You've written for Marvel films and also too for the TV show. Was that a challenge for you, or also was that intentional to really take the story slow?
Yeah, it was absolutely intentional. It was a risk and a cause for concern. There were a lot of conversations. I was very supported by Kevin Feige and everyone at Marvel. I think the fact that we were doing something new, making a series for Disney Plus, which was a new adventure for Marvel, there was an opportunity to do things differently, to do a little bit of reinvention. But it was always the design that we would have this. We sort of approached episode 4 like a bottle episode. I would not characterize it as that is exactly what it is, but it was like, our approach was like, we're gonna do this thing, build this thing slowly, slow cook this situation, and then be like, bam. And I felt in my bones that it would work, because I was so excited about it. Like my excitement for it never dimmed. And I've spent the last few weeks like dying to tell everybody, like, just wait till 4. As a viewer, I like to be rewarded. I like content where I'm watching, and then I'm leaning forward. That's what I'm after. I want that feeling. You can't get that feeling if you're just given the goods every second of every scene. So you have to play things close to the vest. You have to be careful. You have to be methodical. And yeah, I'm so happy that people were there was like a shock to the system with episode 4.
I mean, you could have warned us. You gave us timeline, you gave us backstory, you gave us favorite characters from the past. You could have eased us into that. That was a lot for me to take in. Just saying, I still loved it, but it was a lot for me.
All right, next time I'll let everybody know exactly what's coming.
Be like, hey guys, just buckle up. I might want to sit down for this. But, because so much happened, so much was established into this mystery that we're in episode 4. I know you can't talk about what episode 5 is about, but how much pressure was it really following that episode up, giving us so much information? How do you keep that intensity going throughout the rest of the season?
It's so funny you asked that, because I was just talking to the writers about that very thing. I think that if we had approached this like in a different way, I would have that worry. I'd be like, oh God, what do we do next? But there's so much left. There's so many surprises. And the next episode is chock-a-block full of things. So there's a lot to look at in the next episode. So I don't want to jinx anything. I'm still afraid that there will be, people will not like things, but there's plenty coming.
Okay, so what you're telling me is I'm going to have another heart attack on the low.
Maybe.
But for the last question I wanted to ask you is, we also have this cool concept of the commercials built in with Easter eggs that fans will definitely enjoy. But I really want to talk to you about your inspiration for how do you choose what commercials you want to use? Because I think it was the Find the Goddess in You. I was just like, this is the cheesiness I loved about TV commercials. So really, how do you balance that and weave it into this Marvel universe in the show?
Yeah, I mean, the commercials, what the actual commercials are, like that Find the Goddess was in, the taglines and that kind of thing. I mean, that was all writers' room work. That was like, we would sort of hatch an idea, and then like everybody would pitch. There would be like a million pitches and a lot of discussion, and us making each other laugh, because we're all schlocky hack writers on the inside. So that was really fun. But in terms of like, what we're selling in every commercial, I mean, a lot of the inspiration is really truthfully like sexism in advertising, and we found that to be a fun space to play in.
No, I definitely caught that with the toaster episode. I was just like, I can't believe TV used to be like this. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. You made my day. You also helped me to understand I need an inhaler for this week's episode next to me. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. It was a treat. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.